If you're enjoying this story, subscribe to Satoshi's Lullaby. New episodes every day. Now, let's continue. Close your eyes. It's June 2022. A $35 million super yacht called the Much Wow, yes, that is its actual name, is docked somewhere in the Mediterranean. Its owners, Suzu and Kyle Davies, are not on it. No one can find them. Their hedge fund, Three Arrows Capital, managed at its peak $18 billion in assets. They were celebrities in the crypto world. They posted about the future on Twitter, threw parties in Singapore, told anyone who would listen that crypto only goes up. Now their fund has collapsed. They owe creditors over $3 billion. A court has ordered them to appear. Their lawyers have resigned. Their phones go to voicemail. Two men, $18 billion. A yacht named after a Dogecoin meme, and nobody knows where they are. Eventually, whispers emerged. Zhu and Davies had not vanished entirely. They resurfaced in the opulent embrace of Dubai, a city known for its own tales of meteoric ascents and dramatic descents. There, in the shimmering desert metropolis, they began to speak, not in the formal tones of business leaders addressing a crisis, but in casual interviews and social media posts, elusive as the market that had both enriched and undone them. They talked not just of losses and mistakes, but of philosophies and future plans. Their words were as much about redemption as regret, cloaked in the language of those who believe they have glimpsed a future others cannot see. For the creditors awaiting answers, these revelations were as bitter as they were baffling. Liquidators, tasked with the monumental challenge of untangling the financial wreckage, described the process as one of the most formidable they had ever encountered. Each court filing was a chronicle of complexity, a testament to the intertwined fortunes and misfortunes that had once danced to the tune of the supercycle. The creditors, too, were caught in this web, bound to the fate of a fund that no longer existed, searching still for clarity and recompense. Three Arrows Capital had not only been a powerhouse in the financial world, but a symbol of a new frontier, the crypto frontier, where yesterday's imagination could swiftly become today's reality. But the story of its rise and fall is not merely economic. It is profoundly human. It is about visionaries who blurred the line between confidence and certainty, and in doing so, set in motion events that would ripple across the global financial landscape. Suju and Kyle Davies were not just founders of a fund. They were architects of a narrative that captivated and confounded in equal measure. As we delve deeper into the story of Three Arrows Capital, we unravel not just the mechanics of financial collapse, but the minds of those who dared to reach beyond the horizon. Their tale, striking in its brilliance and its folly, offers lessons for a world still grappling with the promise and peril of digital currency. The stakes are as high as the ambition that fueled their journey, and the questions as numerous as the answers yet to be uncovered. Prepare to journey into the heart of this financial saga. Chapter 1 beckons, where we will explore the foundations of a friendship that would shape the future of finance, and ultimately test the limits of fortune itself. Prepare to journey into the heart of this financial saga. Chapter 1 beckons, where we will explore the foundations of a friendship that would shape the future of finance and ultimately test the limits of fortune itself. Our story begins at Phillips Exeter Academy, a place known for nurturing some of the sharpest minds of the century. Located in the quiet town of Exeter, New Hampshire, this prestigious boarding school has been a beacon of excellence since its founding in 1781. Here, within these revered halls, Suzu and Kyle Davies first crossed paths in the early 2000s. The two young men were drawn together by a shared passion for mathematics and an insatiable curiosity about the world of finance. As they delved into academic pursuits, their friendship blossomed, driven by intense discussions and late-night study sessions. It was during these formative years that Jew and Davies began to envision what would eventually become their groundbreaking venture. Phillips Exeter was more than just a school. It was a crucible of ideas, a place where future leaders were shaped by rigorous academic standards and a spirit of inquiry. Suju, known for his analytical mind and quiet demeanor, thrived in this environment. His aptitude for numbers was evident, setting him apart even among the elite student body. Kyle Davies, in contrast, possessed a charismatic energy and an innate ability to communicate complex ideas with clarity. The combination of Jew's mathematical prowess and Davies' interpersonal skills forged a partnership that seemed destined for greatness. Their bond deepened through their shared experiences at Exeter, where they learned not only from textbooks, but from the diversity of thought that surrounded them. This cultural and intellectual richness laid a foundation for their future endeavors. It was here that they first entertained the dream of transforming the financial world, even if such a notion seemed improbable at the time. Upon graduating from Exeter, Zhu and Davies went their separate ways for further education. Zhu headed to Columbia University in New York City, where he continued to hone his analytical skills. Davies pursued his studies at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, a decision that further refined his understanding of the economic landscape. Despite the physical distance between them, their friendship endured, nurtured by frequent correspondence and visits. They were both acutely aware that their paths would converge again. It was only a matter of time before their shared vision took shape. That moment arrived sooner than either of them anticipated. In 2009, they found themselves working at Credit Suisse in Tokyo, where their paths finally aligned professionally. Their roles in the bank's trading division offered a front-row seat to the complexities of the global financial markets. This period was pivotal, as it provided them with invaluable insights into the workings of international finance. The world economy was still reeling from the impact of the 2008 financial crisis. It was a time of uncertainty and volatility, yet Zhu and Davies saw opportunities where others saw chaos. They began to discuss the possibility of creating their own fund, one that could navigate the turbulent waters of the financial markets with agility and precision. In 2012, Three Arrows Capital was born. The name was inspired by the Japanese folk tale of the three arrows, symbolizing strength in unity. The fund was incorporated in the British Virgin Islands, a strategic choice for its favorable regulatory environment. With a focus initially on foreign exchange trading, they sought to capitalize on their accumulated expertise and insights. The early years were marked by determination and long hours, as the duo worked tirelessly to establish their fledgling fund. They operated from a small office, their ambitions far larger than their physical space. Despite the hurdles they faced, their resolve never wavered. With each trading day, their confidence grew, as did their understanding of risk and reward. Their success in foreign exchange trading laid a solid foundation, allowing them to expand their horizons. By 2018, the world was witnessing the meteoric rise of cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin and other digital assets captured the imagination of investors, promising revolutionary changes to the financial system. Zhu and Davies, ever the astute observers of market trends, recognized the transformative potential of blockchain technology. They began to shift their focus towards cryptocurrency, a decision that would define the trajectory of Three Arrows Capital. The move was not without risks. The cryptocurrency market was in its infancy, characterized by extreme volatility and scant regulation. Yet Zhu and Davies believed that these digital currencies represented the future of finance. Their belief was not merely speculative. It was rooted in a deep understanding of the technological and economic forces at play. As they transitioned into this new arena, their strategic acumen and analytical rigor became evident. Their fund grew exponentially, attracting attention from investors worldwide. By late 2020, Suzhou articulated a bold thesis that would come to define their investment strategy: the supercycle. This concept posited that cryptocurrency was on the cusp of a prolonged adoption curve, driven by increasing institutional interest and technological advancements. Zhu and Davies were convinced that the market was entering a new phase, one that promised unprecedented growth and opportunity. Their conviction in the supercycle was unshakable, and it guided their decisions as they navigated the volatile waters of the cryptocurrency markets. They were not just participants in this new financial frontier, they were visionaries, shaping its course with every calculated move. As we draw the curtains on this chapter, we stand at the cusp of their greatest triumphs, and perhaps their most daunting challenges. The seeds of fortune and upheaval have been sown, setting the stage for what lies ahead. In the next chapter, we will follow Zhu and Davies as they dive deeper into the world of cryptocurrency, crafting a legacy built on innovation and ambition. The journey continues, toward the heights of success and into the heart of a storm yet to come. The journey continues toward the heights of success and into the heart of a storm yet to come. It is late 2020, and Suzhou is standing at the crossroads of an unprecedented opportunity. Together with Kyle Davies, they have been charting the volatile waters of cryptocurrency with an audacious vision. That vision is encapsulated in what Sue calls the supercycle thesis. The supercycle thesis, as articulated by Zhu, suggests a transformative curve in cryptocurrency adoption. Unlike traditional market cycles, where periods of boom and bust alternate predictably, the supercycle implies a continuous and accelerating rise. This belief isn't merely theoretical, it becomes the foundation of Three Arrows Capital's strategy in the coming years. It is the dawn of a new era, one that Zhu and Davies believe will redefine finance. As the calendar turns to 2021, Three Arrows Capital finds itself at the epicenter of a rapidly evolving market. The firm, founded in 2012 and initially focused on foreign exchange trading, has undergone a pivotal transformation. By 2018, they had shifted their focus decisively towards crypto, sensing the winds of change. Now, with the supercycle thesis in hand, Zhu and Davies are ready to make bold moves. The narrative of their rise is punctuated by strategic investments and a knack for identifying potential winners early. In February 2021, Bitcoin soars to over $50,000, and Three Arrows Capital rides the wave with keen precision. They are not mere participants in the market. They are influencers, shaping conversations and trends. Their influence is evident in the frequency with which they invest in decentralized finance projects, known as DeFi, and blockchain infrastructure. Zhu's Twitter feed reads like a financial gospel, riddled with insights and predictions that many in the crypto community hang on to. His words carry weight, his predictions often self-fulfilling as they ripple through the digital chatter. Throughout 2021, Zhu and Davies build a formidable network within the crypto ecosystem. They participate in high-profile funding rounds, and their capital becomes synonymous with success. For emerging blockchain startups, being backed by Three Arrows Capital is akin to a seal of authenticity. Their reputation grows, and with it, their risk appetite. In May 2021, the market briefly stumbles as Bitcoin plummets by 30%. But Zhu and Davies remain undeterred, doubling down on their investments. Their conviction in the supercycle thesis is unwavering. They believe the dip to be temporary, a mere blip in a larger trajectory towards mainstream adoption. As the months pass, Three Arrows Capital's reach extends beyond traditional crypto assets. They explore NFTs, non-fungible tokens, investing in digital art that captivates both tech enthusiasts and art collectors. It's an unconventional move, but one that aligns with their vision of a digital-first future. By September 2021, the firm has borrowed approximately $3.5 billion to fuel their growing portfolio. This leverage amplifies both their potential gains and their exposure to risk. Zhu and Davies are aware of the stakes, yet they remain steadfast, confident in their strategy. Their aggressive approach yields substantial returns, at least on paper. By late 2021, Three Arrows Capital is managing billions in assets, their influence reaching far beyond their Singaporean headquarters. They become fixtures at industry conferences, their insights sought after by investors and curious onlookers alike. Behind the scenes, however, the pressure mounts. Managing such a vast and volatile portfolio requires not just financial acumen, but also nerves of steel. The crypto market, though lucrative, is notoriously unpredictable. Each price swing echoes through their balance sheets, magnified by their leveraged positions. Rumors start to emerge, whispering of internal strains and the toll of constant high-stakes decision-making. Zhu and Davies maintain a public composure, their confidence seemingly unshakable. Yet, those close to them sense the growing weight of their responsibilities. As 2021 draws to a close, all eyes are on Three Arrows Capital. The crypto community watches, eager for insights and perhaps more than a little envious of their daring. Their story is not just one of financial success, it is a narrative imbued with ambition and the relentless pursuit of innovation. In January 2022, the cracks begin to show. A series of market corrections tests their thesis, and the firm's exposure to highly speculative assets raises eyebrows among industry insiders. Yet, Zhu continues to champion the supercycle, speaking with conviction at a blockchain summit in Dubai. The market's volatility seems to accelerate, intensifying the scrutiny on Three Arrows Capital. Investors and analysts alike begin to question the sustainability of their strategy. The dialogue shifts from admiration of their foresight to skepticism of their risk management. Amidst these challenges, Zhu and Davies maintain their public persona, optimistic and forward-looking. They emphasize the broader adoption of blockchain technologies, pointing to tangible developments in global finance. It is a narrative that resonates, even as shadows gather on the horizon. Yet privately, the mounting pressures are undeniable. The borrowed billions weigh heavily, and the market's capricious nature poses an ever-present threat to their leveraged positions. There is a palpable tension, a sense of urgency as they strategize to navigate what lies ahead. As March 2022 arrives, whispers of potential liquidity issues circulate. The crypto community, once enamored, is now watchful, noting every move and statement from Three Arrows Capital. Zhu and Davies, though visibly composed, must contend with the very real possibility of financial turbulence. In retrospect, their meteoric rise is not just a tale of market mastery. It is also a testament to the fine line between risk and reward, ambition and fragility. The stakes have never been higher, and the cost of missteps looms large. As spring unfolds, the supercycle narrative faces its ultimate test. Markets are unpredictable, and the pressure on Three Arrows Capital continues to mount. Zhu and Kyle Davies, architects of their destiny, stand at the precipice of what comes next. The rise of Three Arrows Capital is not merely a chronicle of financial triumph. It is a human story of ambition, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of a vision that defies conventional wisdom. Yet, even in the zenith of success, the shadows of uncertainty linger. What follows is a descent, a journey into the heart of a storm that threatens to unravel everything they have built. The chapter of their rise concludes here, setting the stage for the inevitable crash that awaits. The chapter of their rise concludes here, setting the stage for the inevitable crash that awaits. Beneath the shimmering facade of success and unrelenting optimism, a shadow loomed over Three Arrows Capital. Zhu and Kyle Davies, once hailed as visionaries, had ventured into a realm fraught with volatility. The cryptocurrency markets, with their relentless fluctuations, were both a promise and a peril. In the early months of 2022, the cracks began to show. On the surface, it seemed like business as usual for Three Arrows Capital. However, internal records and whispered rumors suggested otherwise. The fund, deeply leveraged with borrowed billions, was more vulnerable than anyone outside the inner circle knew. Zhu and Davies had placed an immense bet on their supercycle thesis, a belief in a continuous and transformative upswing in cryptocurrency value. It was a bold stance, rooted in Zhu's vision of a world where digital assets would supplant traditional financial systems. As 2022 unfolded, the markets did not align with their expectations. What they had perceived as a supercycle began to look more like a superstorm. On February 24, 2022, a significant shift occurred. Bitcoin, the bellwether of the crypto world, dropped below $35,000. This decline marked the beginning of a tumultuous period in the market. For Zhu and Davies, it was a wake-up call. Their aggressive positions, forged in the fires of a bullish market, were becoming a liability. Internally, tensions rose. Employees, once confident in the unyielding ascent of their investments, started to feel the strain. The office in Singapore, a hub of activity and innovation, buzzed not with enthusiasm, but with an undercurrent of anxiety. Key meetings were held behind closed doors, where Zhu and Davies mapped out strategies to weather the gathering storm. One employee, who chose to remain anonymous, recalled the atmosphere during this period. Decisions were being made with an urgency that belied a sense of impending crisis. "It was as if the walls were closing in," he recounted. "We knew something was off, but nobody could speak openly about it." By April, the signs were undeniable. The markets continued to plummet, eradicating billions in digital wealth. For Three Arrows Capital, the liquidity crisis was no longer a theoretical threat. It was a reality that required immediate action. The fund's extensive borrowing had been predicated on the assumption of ever-increasing asset values. With those values eroding, their debts loomed larger with each passing day. In these moments, Zhu and Davies faced decisions that would define the legacy of their fund. They had to reconcile their vision with the harsh truths of the market. Some of their most trusted advisors suggested a more conservative approach, perhaps even divesting from some of their more speculative assets. However, Zhu and Davies remained resolute. They chose to double down, convinced that the market would turn in their favor. The spring of 2022 was unkind to their ambitions. By May, the crypto markets had entered free fall. Luna, a cryptocurrency they had heavily invested in, collapsed, exacerbating their already precarious situation. The $50 billion loss in market capitalization sent shockwaves through the industry. For Three Arrows Capital, it was a devastating blow. The ripple effects were immediate and severe. Onlookers began to speculate about the fund's viability. In the midst of this turmoil, Zhu and Davies vanished from the public eye. Their once ubiquitous presence on social media dwindled to silence. Rumors swirled about their whereabouts and strategies. The opacity that had once shrouded their trading prowess now cast doubt on their solvency. Financial institutions, wary of their own exposure, began to call in loans. The $3.5 billion borrowed by Three Arrows Capital became a focal point of concern. It was a staggering amount, and the lenders sought answers and assurance. But assurances were in short supply. Meetings with creditors were postponed. Emails went unanswered. A palpable sense of dread permeated the financial circles that had once lauded Zhu and Davies as visionaries. By June, the situation reached a breaking point. On the 27th of that month, a British Virgin Islands court ordered the liquidation of Three Arrows Capital. It was a dramatic reversal of fortune for a fund that, only months earlier, had been managing billions. The legal proceedings revealed the extent of their exposure and missteps. Creditors, some of whom had invested millions, were left grappling with the reality of their losses. For Suju and Kyle Davies, the collapse was not only a financial catastrophe, but a personal reckoning. Their vision, once so clear and compelling, had led them into a labyrinth from which there was no easy escape. Reports emerged of their presence in Dubai, a city known for its opulence and, perhaps not coincidentally, its lenient financial regulations. In the aftermath, they maintained a low profile, communicating sporadically through carefully worded statements. The collapse of Three Arrows Capital sent shockwaves through the cryptocurrency industry. It served as a stark reminder of the inherent risks in a market defined by its volatility. For many, it was a sobering moment, a time to reassess the fervor that had fueled the crypto boom. Yet, even as investors reeled from their losses, the story of Zhu and Davies was far from over. As the dust began to settle, questions loomed large. How could such a promising enterprise unravel so quickly? What lessons could be learned from their meteoric rise and precipitous fall? And most importantly, what would become of the two men at its helm? The answers lay not just in the balance sheets and court documents, but in the complex interplay of ambition, risk, and vision. The story of Three Arrows Capital, once a testament to the boundless potential of cryptocurrency, was now a cautionary tale. Yet in the financial world, endings often herald new beginnings. Zhu and Davies, undeterred by the debacle, contemplated their next steps. The lure of redemption, of proving their doubters wrong, was strong. In the silence of their exile, they planned for a future that might yet redeem their storied past. As they stood at the crossroads, the world watched and waited. Their journey was set to continue, unfolding into a narrative that promised both peril and possibility. The curtain had fallen on one chapter, but a new act was poised to begin. The curtain had fallen on one chapter, but a new act was poised to begin. In late 2020, a theory began to echo through the corridors of the financial world, a whisper that soon grew into a thunderous creed: the supercycle. Su Zhu, with his characteristic intensity, became one of its most ardent prophets. At the heart of the supercycle thesis was a belief in an unprecedented adoption curve for cryptocurrency. Su Zhu argued that the convergence of macroeconomic factors, technological advancement, and shifting regulatory landscapes would propel digital currencies into the mainstream like never before. As the pandemic reshaped global economies, Zhu saw a unique window of opportunity. It was December 2020 when he first publicly articulated this vision on Twitter, the digital stage where ideas and influence collided. Cryptocurrency, he asserted, was on the brink of an exponential growth era that would dwarf previous market cycles. Together with Kyle Davies, his co-founder at Three Arrows Capital, they positioned themselves at the forefront of this emerging revolution. Their conviction was more than mere speculation, it was strategy. By early 2021, Three Arrows Capital's portfolio was aggressively skewed toward high-risk, high-reward crypto investments. They believed that the market would reward boldness and foresight. Their positions reflected not only a trust in the supercycle, but a deep understanding of the intricate dance between technology, financial markets, and human behavior. Zhu and Davies were not alone in their optimism. The broader crypto market buzzed with excitement. Bitcoin, the flagship cryptocurrency, began to soar, reaching unprecedented heights by March 2021. The price of Bitcoin, once a curiosity for niche tech enthusiasts, surged past $60,000, drawing in a new wave of investors eager to participate in what seemed like a financial renaissance. Ethereum, too, captured imaginations, not just as a cryptocurrency, but as a platform for decentralized innovation. The rise of decentralized finance, or DeFi, and non-fungible tokens, NFTs, demonstrated the versatility and potential of blockchain technology beyond mere currency replacement. The world was watching as digital assets seemed poised to reshape the very fabric of economic interaction. For Three Arrows Capital, these developments were vindication. Their bet on the future was paying off, and the fund's assets under management ballooned to several $billions. They had become titans in the crypto space, their influence extending to projects and platforms worldwide. Their thoughts and actions were dissected and emulated, setting trends and confidence in equal measure. Yet, beneath the euphoria of the market's rise, there lay a less visible undercurrent of risk. Zhu and Davies, for all their foresight, were also deep within the labyrinth of leverage. They had borrowed extensively, $3.5 billion, to fuel their investments. It was a calculated risk, one they believed was mitigated by the supercycle's promise of sustained growth. The markets, however, have a way of humbling even the most confident visionaries. By the autumn of 2021, signs of volatility began to emerge. Regulatory bodies across the globe started to scrutinize the burgeoning crypto economy with a more critical eye. China, once a hub of crypto activity, imposed a sweeping ban on all cryptocurrency transactions in September 2021. The ripple effects were felt immediately, as market confidence wavered. Across the Atlantic, the conversation in Washington, D.C. shifted toward regulatory frameworks to govern digital assets. The SEC and other financial watchdogs signaled a tightening noose around crypto, threatening the unfettered growth that had characterized the supercycle's early days. For Three Arrows Capital, these developments necessitated a recalibration of strategy, a challenge they met with both determination and concern. By early 2022, the market had become a battlefield of fluctuating fortunes. The exuberance that had characterized the previous year gave way to a more measured, cautious approach. Investors, once driven by the fear of missing out, now found themselves grappling with fear of loss. As the price of Bitcoin slipped below key psychological thresholds, the cascading effects on leveraged positions became painfully apparent. Three Arrows Capital's portfolio, once lauded for its audacity, now teetered on a precarious edge. The leverage that had amplified their gains in the bull market now threatened to amplify their losses. Su Zhu, reflecting on these challenges, would later describe this period as one of the most arduous of his career, a crucible of stress and strategy. The supercycle, once a vision of enduring growth, revealed its dual nature. Markets, Zhu knew, were not just about numbers but narratives, stories that could swiftly change with the tide. As March 2022 unfolded, the world stood at a crossroads between innovation and regulation, ambition and caution. Three Arrows Capital's journey through the supercycle became a study in contrasts, conviction and vulnerability, foresight and blind spots. The lessons learned during this period would echo through the halls of financial discourse for years to come. For Su Zhu and Kyle Davies, the supercycle had been both a dream and a testament to their unwavering belief in the transformative power of cryptocurrencies. As the echoes of their decisions reverberated through the markets, they faced the undeniable need to adapt. The road ahead was uncertain, marked by the shadows of past missteps and the glimmers of future potential. The supercycle, with all its promises and pitfalls, had taught them that in the world of finance, evolution is not merely a choice, but a necessity. In the end, the supercycle was not just a narrative about markets, but about the people who dared to chart its course. As they prepared for what lay ahead, Zhu and Davies reflected on their journey, its triumphs, its lessons, its intrinsic human complexity. The stage was set for the next chapter, where resilience and adaptation would guide them into a new era. And so, standing at the threshold of uncertainty, they looked forward, ready to write the next act in their unfolding saga. The narrative of Three Arrows Capital was far from over. Its threads continued to weave through the tapestry of the crypto world, hinting at new beginnings and the promise of redemption. The narrative of Three Arrows Capital was far from over. Its threads continued to weave through the tapestry of the crypto world, hinting at new beginnings and the promise of redemption. Yet, in the summer of 2022, a crack in its seemingly invincible facade began to widen, revealing the vulnerabilities beneath the surface. This was not just a story about numbers and losses, but about ambitions and the limits of foresight. It was about two men, Suju and Kyle Davies, who found themselves at the helm of a sinking ship as the storm raged on. The signs of trouble began to emerge as early as May 2022, when the cryptocurrency market, which had been soaring, started showing signs of a downturn. Bitcoin, the bellwether of digital currencies, fell from its all-time high of nearly $69,000 in November 2021 to under $30,000. The decline was sharp and unforgiving, sending ripples of panic across the industry. For Three Arrows Capital, a fund deeply leveraged into the market's success, this turmoil was particularly perilous. Suju and Kyle Davies had long been proponents of the supercycle theory, a belief that the crypto market was on the precipice of a massive, unprecedented surge. Their conviction led them to borrow heavily, amassing debt that would ultimately crest at $3.5 billion. This figure was a testament to their belief in the market's boundless potential. However, as the market continued its descent, the weight of these liabilities began to press down. By June 2022, creditors began to voice concerns, seeking assurances that would never fully materialize. Prominent among these creditors were Voyager Digital, Genesis Trading, and BlockFi, each with significant sums at stake. The panic was palpable as whispers of insolvency began to circulate, painting a picture of a fund spiraling into chaos. Three Arrows' troubles were compounded by its entanglement with Terra USD, an algorithmic stablecoin that had dramatically collapsed in May 2022, erasing $60 billion from the broader market. As the dominoes fell, the human element of this financial drama became painfully apparent. Employees of Three Arrows Capital, once riding high on the fund's success, now faced an uncertain future. Many, like Claire, a young analyst who had joined the firm in 2020, found themselves grappling with the dual shock of professional and financial instability. Claire had relocated to Singapore, the fund's operational hub, with high hopes and dreams of making her mark in the burgeoning crypto world. Now those dreams seemed as fragile as the digital assets she once traded. In the midst of this turmoil, Suju and Kyle Davies found themselves facing immense pressure. Their once unshakable confidence was now tested daily as they scrambled to stabilize the fund. The choices they had made, choices that once seemed visionary, were now scrutinized through the harsh lens of hindsight. On June 27, 2022, Three Arrows Capital filed for Chapter 15 bankruptcy in New York, a move aimed at protecting its U.S. assets, while liquidators in the British Virgin Islands attempted to untangle the complex web of obligations. This legal maneuver underscored the gravity of their situation, marking a stark departure from the days when Three Arrows was celebrated as a pioneering force. Yet, within this chaos, there was a glimmer of resilience. For Ju and Davies, retreating from public view was not an option. Their vision for the future of cryptocurrency was undeterred, even as they navigated the fallout of their miscalculations. The crash of Three Arrows Capital was more than a financial collapse. It was a reckoning. It questioned the very foundations upon which modern financial empires are built and the assumptions that underpin high-risk, high-reward strategies. The broader industry, too, faced a moment of introspection, assessing the role of leverage, risk management, and the ethical responsibilities of financial leaders. Liquidators, led by Teneo, embarked on the arduous task of recovering assets and satisfying creditors. This process was fraught with challenges, as Ju and Davies' complex investment strategies scattered funds across the globe. The search for assets turned international, spanning continents and involving numerous jurisdictions. For creditors, this was a race against time, as every delay diminished the likelihood of full recovery. In September 2022, a court in Singapore granted a petition by liquidators to probe Three Arrows Capital's local assets, further intensifying the pressure on Zhu and Davies. This legal action was a clear indication of the global reach of their operations and the scale of the challenge faced by those seeking recompense. As the year drew to a close, Suju and Kyle Davies resurfaced in Dubai, a place known for its favorable business climate and burgeoning crypto industry. Here, amidst the shimmering skyline, they contemplated their next move. This was not the end of their story, but a pivotal chapter. For Zhu and Davies, the lessons of Three Arrows Capital's rise and fall were profound. They provided an opportunity for reflection and growth, a chance to recalibrate their understanding of risk, ambition, and responsibility. As 2023 dawned, whispers of new ventures began to circulate. Zhu and Davies, ever the visionaries, were reportedly exploring new opportunities in the digital asset space. The world watched with a mix of skepticism and curiosity, wondering what shape their next endeavor might take. Would it be a phoenix rising from the ashes, or merely the last gasp of faltering ambition? In the grand tapestry of financial history, the story of Three Arrows Capital serves as a cautionary tale of the relentless pursuit of growth and the perils of overlooking risk. It is a reminder that, in the world of high finance, even the most carefully crafted narratives can unravel with catastrophic speed. Yet the narrative is far from complete. As Zhu and Davies navigate this new landscape, they carry with them the weight of past mistakes and the hope for redemption. The road ahead is uncertain, but it is also filled with potential. In the ever-evolving world of cryptocurrency, new beginnings are always possible, albeit fraught with challenges and opportunities alike. Thus, as the final lines of this chapter are written, we turn our gaze forward, toward a future where the lessons of the past inform the possibilities of the present, toward a new story waiting to be told, of resilience, reinvention, and perhaps, ultimately, redemption. Toward a new story waiting to be told, of resilience, reinvention, and perhaps, ultimately, redemption. The journey pauses at a moment of stark introspection. In the summer of 2022, the world of cryptocurrency was living through its harshest winter. Three Arrows Capital, once a titan within this volatile domain, was teetering on the brink of collapse. Around the globe, investors and onlookers questioned how such a downfall had happened, and more importantly, why. The seeds of dissent were sown in the soil of ambition and leverage. At the helm, Suju and Kyle Davies had ambitiously steered the firm into uncharted waters, fueled by the promise of a supercycle that, at least for a time, seemed almost prophetic. But by mid-2022, the winds had shifted. The broader market was unraveling, with Bitcoin and Ethereum, the cornerstones of the crypto universe, plunging to half their previous highs. By June 2022, whispers of insolvency began to swirl around Three Arrows Capital. The fund had borrowed heavily, a staggering $3.5 billion from various lenders, including Voyager Digital, Genesis Trading, and BlockFi. This strategy, though high risk, was not without precedent in an industry driven by aggressive gains. However, the market's rapid downturn now turned this leverage into a vice, squeezing the firm mercilessly. What had seemed like sound bets were now anchors pulling them into the abyss. The collapse of Terra USD, a stablecoin project, had sent ripples through the market, affecting Three Arrows' position. Suju and Kyle Davies, who had once been hailed as visionaries, now faced mounting scrutiny. Their absence from public view, their silence, only fed the growing unease among investors and the media alike. In late June, court documents filed in the British Virgin Islands confirmed the inevitable. Three Arrows Capital was ordered into liquidation. The judge's decision was based on clear evidence of insolvency, but behind the legal jargon lay human stories of loss and desperation. Employees who had once basked in the glow of success now grappled with uncertainty. The collapse was not just a financial event. It was a deeply personal one. For investors who had entrusted their fortunes to Zhu and Davies, the reality of their vanished savings was a bitter pill to swallow. Among them were pension funds, family offices, and individual investors, all drawn in by the promise of outsized returns. As liquidators stepped in, seeking to untangle the complex web of investments and debts, Zhu and Davies remained out of sight. Reports surfaced of their presence in Dubai, a city known for its luxury and opulence, a stark contrast to the ruins of their financial empire. Questions about accountability and the future of those affected by the downfall lingered in the air, heavy and unresolved. In this vacuum of information, speculation thrived. Were Zhu and Davies planning their next move, or were they simply escaping the maelstrom of their own making? The digital breadcrumbs they left behind pointed to both audacity and denial, a refusal to acknowledge the full extent of the wreckage. On July 12, 2022, Voyager Digital, one of the fund's largest creditors, took legal action against Three Arrows Capital, seeking the recovery of over $650 million. The numbers, unfathomably large, underscored the depth of the crisis. This was not just a story of a firm's collapse, but a cautionary tale of hubris and unchecked ambition. In the broader context, the fall of Three Arrows Capital highlighted the fragility of the cryptocurrency ecosystem. It exposed the systemic risks inherent in an industry still finding its footing. Regulatory bodies around the world took note, with increased calls for oversight and controls to prevent similar debacles. For Suju and Kyle Davies, the narrative was far from over. Their journey from Phillips Exeter Academy to the peaks of financial success, and now to this precipitous fall, was a testament to the dizzying highs and lows of ambition. Yet amid the wreckage, there lay the faint possibility of redemption. Could they rebuild? Could they harness the lessons of their past to forge a new path? As the global community watched, the question of their next steps loomed large. Many in the industry speculated about potential comebacks, while others remained skeptical. The answers, like the future of cryptocurrency itself, were uncertain, mired in the complexities of innovation and regulation. In the aftermath of the collapse, the echoes of their decisions reverberated across the financial landscape. The lessons were stark. Leverage, when unchecked, could be a double-edged sword. Ambition, without prudence, could lead to ruin. Yet, beneath these harsh truths, there existed a possibility, the chance to learn, adapt, and perhaps find new meaning amid chaos. Even as creditors and former employees sought resolution, the story of Three Arrows Capital remained one of the most dramatic episodes in the annals of cryptocurrency history. It was a story of vision and downfall, of aspirations that reached too far, too fast. And yet for those involved, it was also a deeply human story, one of dreams, failures, and the hope of starting anew. As we stand at the crossroads, the narrative shifts once more, inviting reflection on the nature of success and failure. For Suju and Kyle Davies, their place in the history of finance is secure, marked by both innovation and the lessons of overreach. But as the dust begins to settle and the world moves forward, a new chapter awaits, one that may yet hold the key to understanding resilience and reinvention in a rapidly changing world. The next steps, still shrouded in uncertainty, beckon toward a horizon not yet defined. The path forward, fraught with challenges, offers a chance to redefine and rebuild. What comes next for those who dare to tread it remains to be seen. And so the stage is set for the aftermath, where the echoes of past choices meet the possibilities of the future. And so, the stage is set for the aftermath, where the echoes of past choices meet the possibilities of the future. The collapse of Three Arrows Capital in the summer of 2022 sent shockwaves through the financial world. Investors, partners, and creditors watched as billions of dollars vanished almost overnight. The question now was how to untangle the complex web of debts and losses left in the wake of Suju and Kyle Davies' audacious ventures. In the weeks following the collapse, the office in Singapore that once buzzed with the anticipation of trades now stood silent and deserted. Legal documents lay in piles, untouched evidence of the promises and transactions made during more prosperous times. The official address of Three Arrows Capital in the British Virgin Islands became a focal point for investigators. It was there, in the quiet openness of the Caribbean, that liquidators began their arduous task of piecing together what remained. On July 1, 2022, the High Court of Singapore officially appointed Teneo, a global consulting firm, to take charge of the liquidation process. Their mission was clear but daunting: to recover as much of the $3.5 billion owed to creditors as possible. The creditors included a diverse array of parties, from major financial institutions to smaller individual investors, all bound by a shared desire for answers and accountability. As the liquidators dived deeper, they uncovered a trove of transactions that painted a picture of Three Arrows Capital's final days. Suju and Kyle Davies had made increasingly risky bets, leveraging assets to the brink in a desperate attempt to stave off the encroaching market downturn. The collapse of the cryptocurrency market had been swift and brutal, erasing fortunes and dreams with the click of a mouse. But questions lingered about whether the duo had seen the signs and ignored them, driven by a belief in their supercycle thesis. Among the creditors, Genesis Global Trading stood out with a claim of over $2.3 billion. Their involvement was emblematic of the interconnected nature of the cryptocurrency world, a web of credits and debits linking firms across continents. Other significant creditors included Voyager Digital and BlockFi, companies that had extended massive lines of credit to Three Arrows, trusting in the reputation and past successes of Zhu and Davies. Now they faced their own financial crises, with Voyager eventually filing for bankruptcy. The personal lives of Zhu and Davies became the subject of intense scrutiny. Once lauded as visionaries in the financial press, they now found themselves under the unrelenting gaze of creditors and journalists alike. Reports emerged that the pair had resurfaced in Dubai, an emirate known both for its luxurious lifestyle and its lack of an extradition treaty with many countries. The choice of Dubai as a refuge was seen by some as a strategic move, allowing them a degree of insulation from international legal pressures. In the legal arena, creditors' representatives worked tirelessly to establish a clear line of accountability. Lawyers pored over the fine print of contracts and investment agreements, seeking any clauses that might offer recourse. While the court battles unfolded, the human cost, lost savings, dashed hopes loomed large over every proceeding. Individuals who had entrusted their futures to the stewardship of Three Arrows Capital now faced an uncertain financial landscape. Despite the challenges, some saw the downfall of Three Arrows Capital as an opportunity for reflection and reform within the cryptocurrency industry. Calls for greater transparency and regulatory oversight grew louder, urging stakeholders to learn from the failures encapsulated in this spectacular collapse. The Financial Times ran a series of articles in late 2022 examining the broader implications of the incident, highlighting the need for more rigorous risk assessment models. However, for Suju and Kyle Davies, the future remained a subject of speculation. In September 2022, rumors began circulating that the two were contemplating a new venture, perhaps in a different segment of the financial markets. Their resilience, and some might say audacity, was a hallmark of their careers, but whether they could regain the trust of investors remained to be seen. Speculations about potential partners and business models proliferated in financial circles, as observers pondered whether a comeback was truly possible. For those affected by the collapse, the process of recovery was slow. Some creditors, resigned to the reality of partial recompense, began the arduous task of rebuilding. Stories emerged of families adjusting their lifestyles, selling properties, or downsizing businesses to cope with the financial strain. The human toll of financial collapse is often felt most acutely in the everyday lives of those who trusted and lost. In the broader context, the case of Three Arrows Capital served as a stark reminder of the volatile nature of finance, especially in the nascent field of cryptocurrency. The collapse prompted many to reassess their involvement in such high-risk areas, while others argued that innovation always comes with inherent dangers. This tension between risk and reward continues to define the financial landscape, as new players enter the market with hopes of success and fears of failure. The legal proceedings continued into 2023, with periodic updates capturing the interest of the financial community. Each court session brought new revelations, as more documents were unsealed and testimonies provided. Yet, amid the tactical legal maneuvers, the emotional narratives of those involved, creditors, former employees, and even Zhu and Davies themselves, painted a complex picture of ambition, miscalculation, and the relentless pursuit of opportunity. And so, as these various threads wove together, the aftermath of Three Arrows Capital's collapse offered a sobering reflection on the risks and responsibilities inherent in the world of high finance. The lessons learned carried implications far beyond the realm of cryptocurrency, reminding all involved of the delicate balance between innovation and oversight, trust and skepticism. Yet, even amid the legal battles and financial reckoning, whispers of a new chapter emerged. Suju and Kyle Davies, though chastened by their experiences, appeared not to have lost their appetite for risk. As they contemplated their next steps, the world watched with a mix of skepticism and intrigue, wondering what the future might hold for these architects of ambition. And so we turn to the next chapter, where the potential for a new beginning beckons amidst the lessons of the past. And so we turn to the next chapter, where the potential for a new beginning beckons amidst the lessons of the past. For Suju and Kyle Davies, the echoes of their previous successes and failures resonated as a constant reminder. In the summer of 2022, their dreams of a financial supernova imploded. Yet, like the phoenix rising from the ashes, there lingered the question, could they rebuild from the rubble left by Three Arrows Capital? The collapse of their fund had been a seismic event in the cryptocurrency world. It wasn't just about lost money, it was about shattered confidence in a rapidly evolving financial frontier. For Zhu and Davies, the implosion was not only a professional catastrophe, but a personal reckoning. They had built an empire, only to watch it dismantle under the weight of its own ambition. With debts amounting to $3.5 billion, the legacy of Three Arrows Capital was one of immense financial chaos. The fund's collapse left a trail of creditors seeking restitution and an industry questioning its own exuberance. Yet, for Zhu and Davies, the aftermath was not the end, but possibly a new beginning. As they resurfaced in Dubai, a city synonymous with reinvention, speculation swirled about their next move. Their silence had been deafening, but now in this distant land, they sought solace and a chance to plan their future. Dubai, with its gleaming skyscrapers and vibrant economy, offered a backdrop of possibility against the uncertainty that clouded their past. The pair had always been visionaries, seeing potential where others saw only risk. This time, however, their approach needed to be tempered by the lessons learned from their fall. The cryptocurrency market, with its dizzying highs and catastrophic lows, had proven to be a double-edged sword. Historically, the world of finance is littered with tales of rebirth. In the early 20th century, Jesse Livermore, considered one of the greatest stock traders, faced multiple bankruptcies. Yet, his ability to rebound time and again became legendary. Zhu and Davies, in the shadow of such figures, contemplated their own path to redemption. By November 2022, whispers emerged of a new venture, tentatively named Open Exchange. It was an idea born from the tumult of their experiences. They envisioned a platform that would address the very pitfalls that had ensnared them. This time, they aimed to offer transparency, stability, and a level of oversight that had been absent from their previous endeavors. But questions lingered. Could the world trust them again? Could they trust themselves? The stakes were high, not just monetarily, but morally. Zhu and Davies were acutely aware of the skepticism that greeted them, both from former colleagues and new acquaintances. In this next chapter, their focus was not solely on innovation, it was on introspection. They needed to dissect their past choices, understand where they went wrong, and above all, ensure they did not repeat history. The task was formidable, but not impossible. Reflecting on their journey, the story of Three Arrows Capital was one of rapid ascent, but equally rapid descent. From their days at Phillips Exeter Academy, Zhu and Davies had been driven by a shared ambition. At Credit Suisse, they honed their skills, learning the intricacies of global finance. Those early years were marked by a hunger to not just succeed, but to redefine what success could look like. Their pivot to cryptocurrency in 2018 was emblematic of this ambition. They saw potential in the digital currency landscape that others had yet to recognize. The supercycle thesis, articulated by Zhu in late 2020, was a bold declaration of their belief in a seismic shift within financial markets. Yet, it was this same thesis that, when the market turned, left them exposed. As 2023 unfolded, the cryptocurrency landscape continued to evolve. Regulatory scrutiny intensified, with governments around the world grappling with how to manage this new financial frontier. In the United States, the SEC's increasing involvement signaled a shift towards more stringent oversight. For Zhu and Davies, navigating these new waters required not just innovation, but adherence to emerging regulations. In Dubai, amidst the sweltering heat and dynamic business environment, the pair plotted their course. Here, they were far from the epicenter of their previous life, yet still very much in the thick of a global financial network. Their vision for open exchange was ambitious, yet grounded in practicality. They sought to create a platform where transparency was paramount, aiming to restore trust in an industry shaken by their past missteps. The human element of their story cannot be understated. Behind the numbers and strategies were two individuals grappling with the consequences of their actions. Their families, friends, and former colleagues watched closely, some with hope, others with skepticism. This chapter of their lives was not merely about a new business venture, but about personal transformation. Could they reconcile their past with their present ambitions? Could they emerge not just as financial leaders, but as more conscientious stewards of the trust placed in them by investors? As they stood on the precipice of this new endeavor, the lessons of history loomed large. From the Dutch tulip mania of the 17th century to the dot-com bubble at the turn of the millennium, the financial world has been a cyclical dance of boom and bust. Understanding these patterns was crucial for Zhu and Davies if they were to navigate their own supercycle successfully. The investigation into their past was ongoing, with liquidators and former investors keenly watching their every move. Yet, amidst this scrutiny, there was a resolve to forge ahead. The future of cryptocurrency remained an open field, ripe with opportunity, yet fraught with challenges. For Su Zhu and Kyle Davies, redemption was not guaranteed, but it was a possibility. The path forward required not just strategic acumen, but a redefined sense of purpose. This chapter in their lives, while daunting, was also filled with potential. As they prepared to unveil open exchange, the world watched with bated breath. Would this be a new dawn, or merely a fleeting moment of redemption? The answer lay in the decisions that were yet to come, and the resilience of two men who dared to dream again. Their story continued, with the next phase promising revelations yet untold. Their story continued, with the next phase promising revelations yet untold. The collapse of Three Arrows Capital, a name once synonymous with unprecedented success in the cryptosphere, now left a void filled with questions and lessons. As the dust settled, the legacy that Suju and Kyle Davies would leave behind began to take shape. This chapter delves into those lingering impacts, exploring the broader implications of their journey through the volatile and often unpredictable world of cryptocurrency. The collapse in the summer of 2022 was not just a financial implosion, it was an earthquake that rippled through the crypto community. With Three Arrows Capital having borrowed $3.5 billion at its peak, the sudden disappearance of such a colossal entity sent shockwaves across the globe. Institutions that had partnered with Ju and Davies found themselves scrambling, attempting to mitigate exposure and reassure investors. The market, already teetering from its highs, was sent into a further spiral. The aftershocks of the collapse highlighted the fragility of trust within financial systems, a lesson as old as finance itself. For those who had invested not only capital but belief in the supercycle thesis, the repercussions were deeply personal. Many small investors, inspired by the meteoric rise of Three Arrows, had bet heavily on crypto futures, now found themselves facing significant losses. It was a stark reminder of the risks inherent in speculative markets, where fortunes can evaporate as quickly as they materialize. Yet, amid the chaos and the clamor for accountability, what emerged was a more cautious, perhaps more mature cryptocurrency landscape. Regulatory bodies around the world, having observed the fallout, began drafting tighter regulations and guidelines. In Singapore, where Three Arrows had once been a beacon of innovation, the Monetary Authority began a comprehensive review of its oversight on crypto funds. Such steps, while seen as restrictive by some, aimed to ensure a more sustainable growth trajectory for the industry. For Suju and Kyle Davies, their legacy was not solely defined by the errors and excesses that led to their fall. In the early years, their story was one of vision and ambition, two friends from Phillips Exeter Academy who dared to chart a course through uncharted waters. Their ability to navigate the nascent stages of digital currency trading contributed to a growing respect for the potential of blockchain technology. Despite the eventual downfall, for a time, they epitomized the very spirit of entrepreneurship, risk-taking, innovative, and boundary-pushing. Yet, as history has shown, the line between hubris and boldness is perilously thin. The allure of the supercycle thesis, which anticipated a transformative adoption curve for cryptocurrencies, became a double-edged sword. It fueled their rise but also blinded them to the inherent volatility of markets. The belief in an unstoppable momentum led to investment decisions that ignored traditional risk management principles. It was a cautionary tale, echoed through financial history, from the tulip mania of the 17th century to the dot-com bubble of the late 1990s. The human element of their journey was equally compelling. Beyond the headlines and financial charts, this was a story about individuals caught in the maelstrom of ambition and consequence. Suju, known for his intellectual acumen and articulate market theories, faced a world scrutinizing his every move. Kyle Davies, with his robust network and strategic foresight, found himself navigating a landscape vastly different from the one they envisioned. Both were forced to confront the reality of their choices and the impact on those who trusted them. As they resurfaced in Dubai, questions lingered about their next steps. Would the lessons of Three Arrows Capital translate into a new venture, more attuned to the lessons of the past? Or was this chapter in their lives a definitive end to their involvement in the financial world? Only time would tell. What was clear, however, was their enduring belief in the transformative power of digital assets, a belief that continued to drive them even after the fall. This story of rise and fall, of success and failure, was a microcosm of the broader narratives playing out in the financial world. It underscored the relentless pace of innovation and the constant tension between regulation and freedom. The legacy of Three Arrows Capital, therefore, extended far beyond its financial footprint. It raised critical discussions about the sustainable integration of cryptocurrencies into the global economy, the role of transparency, and the responsibilities of financial stewards. In classrooms and boardrooms, the case of Three Arrows Capital became a topic of study and reflection. Educators used it to illustrate the importance of due diligence, diversification, and the perils of over-leverage. For investors, it served as a reminder of the age-old adage, if something seems too good to be true, it often is. The lessons learned were conveyed not just through numbers and charts, but through the narratives of lives affected, the very human stories behind the rise and fall of empires. In the end, the legacy of Suju and Kyle Davies was a tapestry woven with threads of innovation, hubris, and humanity. Their journey through the supercycle was neither the first nor the last of its kind, but it left an indelible mark on the cryptocurrency landscape. As the world continued to grapple with the implications of digital finance, a new narrative was already unfolding. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, the next chapter awaited, promising both challenges and opportunities for those daring enough to take the leap. And so, as we close this chapter, we turn our gaze forward. New beginnings flicker on the horizon, shaped by the echoes of the past and the promise of the future. The next part of the story beckons, urging us to explore what lies beyond the fall, what comes after the cycle ends. In the vast tapestry of human endeavor, the story of Three Arrows Capital weaves a cautionary tale, a narrative that reflects both the boundless ambitions and the fragile assumptions upon which extraordinary dreams are often built. Suju and Kyle Davies embarked on a journey that was as much about understanding new horizons as it was about testing the limits of trust and technology. Their tale is a modern parable about the allure of certainty amidst the inherent chaos of financial markets. Human nature is drawn to patterns, to the promise that we can somehow predict and control what is inherently unpredictable. In the cryptocurrency space, a world defined by rapid change and volatility, this desire for certainty is magnified. The supercycle thesis embodied this longing. It was a belief in transformation, in a revolution that would not only change the financial world, but also validate bold bets placed on an uncertain future. But as we have seen, such convictions can blind us to the risks that lie beneath the surface. Money and trust are intertwined in complex ways. Trust is the invisible currency that fuels financial systems, yet it is fragile, more ephemeral than the markets we seek to navigate. The fall of Three Arrows Capital was not just about numbers or financial loss, it was about the erosion of trust, the collapse of a shared belief in a prosperous digital future. Technology, while transformative, is also a reminder of our limitations. It connects us to vast possibilities, but can also amplify our missteps. In the hands of Ju and Davies, technology was both a tool and a trap, a duality that underscores the necessity of humility in the face of innovation. As the dust settles on their story, we are left to ponder the lessons learned and the enduring questions that remain. How do we balance ambition with caution? How do we safeguard the trust of those who believe in our vision? And perhaps most poignantly, how do we navigate a future where certainty is elusive and the stakes are ever higher? The whisper of these questions lingers in the quiet moments of reflection, a gentle reminder of our shared human journey, a journey of dreams pursued, lessons learned, and the continual search for meaning amidst the unknown. As you drift into rest, let these thoughts settle into the corners of your mind, resting softly against the rhythm of your breath. May you find peace in the unfolding of each day, and may your dreams be as vast and boundless as the night sky above. This has been Satoshi's Lullaby. Good night.